Hi, this is Renina Mentor of Sunshine Living, and welcome back to my channel where we talk about mental health and psychology. I do psychoeducation to help people manage their lives, their emotions, their feelings, their behaviors better so that they can be happier and more balanced in their mental health. So, today I want to talk about this concept of leaving the past in the past. So I often encounter people who believe that in order to be happy, in order to live the life that they want, that they need to leave the past in the past. Well, as I often do, I disagree with this. And so I disagree with it for a few reasons, which I'll go over today. And I want you to know that I know that sometimes the way that I think is feels counterintuitive or it feels different than what you might have heard or learned. But what I know for sure is the way culturally that we've been doing things is not working. So I want to help people to see that there is another way. So I'm going to go over three reasons why leaving the past in the past isn't psychologically and emotionally healthy. The first reason, forgive me, I'm going to look at my notes. The first reason is leaving the past in the past is a form of what we call black and white thinking or all or nothing thinking. All or nothing thinking is a type of thinking. It's in the category of being a distorted way of thinking or an unhealthy or unhelpful way of thinking. And it's also considered a negative way of thinking. And so when people think that they can just forget about their past and leave their past in the past, the reason why it's not healthy is because it is basically trying to separate themselves from what they've experienced. It is healthier to accept that you've had a past. You don't want to necessarily dwell on it, but you want to take the gems from your past. You want to learn the lessons. It is where wisdom comes from. It is where our testimony comes from. It is where and how we inspire others. Our past, if we can accept it as a part of our story, not that anything's wrong with us or that we had deserved any sort of bad or negative thing that happened, but we can see that the past is a part of what we experienced and we can take from it what will help us and be more helpful. So the first concept is understanding that to try to leave the past in the past is a form of negative thinking, of unhelpful thinking. That's the first concept. The second thing, and the second reason why leaving the past in the past is not healthy, is because it is based on this concept and this belief that we have the ability to forget. That we have the ability to forget the negative things that we've gone through, the sad and traumatic things that we've gone through, and we just don't have the ability to do that. If we were able to forget the past and just to move on from the past, I wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't, therapists wouldn't be needed. None of us have the ability to forget the past. That isn't how it works, and it isn't really the best thing to do. So what can we do instead? The goal is to, and this will feel and sound counterintuitive. It'll sound like the opposite of what we're supposed to do. And what that is we need to accept the past as a part of our story. And so we must let go of this concept, right? We must not let go, release or replace this concept that we can forget. What we must do is accept what happened, allow it to be incorporated as a chapter in our life, a part of our story, accept it, right? So that we can then move forward. It is the pushing away of the past, of the pretending that the past didn't happen. It is trying to forget and never talk about the past. that actually keeps us stuck. It is the resistance of the past that makes it difficult for us to technically forget. If we do this in a way that is loving and accepting, without judgment of ourselves, without beating ourselves up about what happened, without blaming ourselves about what happened, and just accepting that what happened, it wasn't necessarily our fault. And it wasn't necessarily even someone else's fault, which we will get into later as I do more videos. But what we will understand is that it was a part of our experience for a reason. And we began to just say it was what it was, what it was, right? There were parts of our past, whether you're thinking about a particular event that you can't stop thinking about, or you're thinking about an event that you attempted to forget. What we want to do is just say it was what it was. I did experience it. These parts were hurtful. These parts are the parts I wish that I could forget, but I'm accepting that it's a part of my story. Another great part of accepting and not trying to forget is that when you accept all parts of your story, no one can really hurt you with it. When you accept all parts of your story with love, right? With non judgment of yourself, without blaming yourself for the things that happen, especially the things that happened in our childhoods. When we're able to really do that, if another person tries to throw it in your face, that can't really hurt you. You know why? Because them trying to throw your life in your face is ridiculous. Someone trying to hurt you with the things that you've gone through is an indication that they have so much pain that they're trying to spread it around to everybody. So, that second concept of understanding we can't forget. We just must incorporate and accept that it was a part of our story. What will then happen is we will no longer need to try to force ourselves to stop thinking about it because we are technically processing through and resolving it. Of course, if the story or the situation or the event that you've gone through that you're having a hard time with is something that is very traumatic, we do want to see a therapist. You want to go find a therapist. But if you don't need a therapist at this time or don't want a therapist at this time, there are other ways of going about it. I'm a big believer in you might not need to go to therapy or might not want to go to therapy, but do something. Okay? Don't just sit around and just let it fester and let it just consume your mind day in and day out. Okay, so that was the second one. The third concept, or the third reason why leaving the past in the past does not work, is because balanced, well balanced, healthy people understand that in order to stay well balanced and healthy, they must have good self talk. And when you are running the past thoughts over and over again, or you've spent so much time trying to forget what happened, you're actually not in a space of love, in a space of acceptance of all that you are and all that you've experienced. People that are well balanced in their mental health understand that there are reasons why things have happened. Even the most negative things, we can take some beautiful things from those things. When people have a great deal of negative experiences from the past, or they've experienced and survived trauma, they end up being more loving people and more empathic people if they've really processed through those things. Now, if you haven't, you can end up being just as hurtful as the people who hurt you, which we'll get into later. So, the third part of why leaving the past in the past is not a good idea is because that's not how well balanced people handle their lives. Well balanced people understand that it's about acceptance, it's about grace, it's about love, and it's about embracing all parts of your story to try to figure out what you're going to do with that. You can't have a testimony without some trauma. Let's be honest, right? You cannot have a testimony which will inspire others without some trauma. Okay, so what do you do? What do you do if you want to process through your life the good and the bad, right? The things that were hurtful and the things that you loved about your life. What do you do when you're trying to, what I say, be more mindful of your entire life? Three things. One, get into the flow of your life. Two, use your breath, right? And three, look for the beauty. So, number one, to get into the flow of your life is just accepting that sometimes negative thoughts will come up in your mind. Do not shame yourself for it if you can't stop thinking about something. Do not make yourself feel bad. Do not beat yourself up. Do not try to force yourself to stop thinking about something. Just spend a few minutes thinking about that thing and find a way to remind yourself that you're okay by saying something, not something that's super positive, but something that's more neutral. Yes, these thoughts are coming up about what happened in the past. Yes, there's a part of me that wishes that it didn't, but this is what it is right now. And maybe there's a reason why I keep thinking about it. Maybe there's something that I need to tell myself about the past. I didn't deserve what happened, something of that effect. So you want to get into the flow of it. Instead of resisting it, because you might think, some people tell me when I do these concepts with people, they tell me, well, I have thought about it and it just won't stop. When you're in a space of it won't stop, the thoughts won't stop, you are actually in a space of resistance. I'm saying to accept that it's happening and try to redirect it instead of forcing it to stop. You get into the flow of the thoughts and you try to get yourself to a place of this is what happened, it was what it was, and I am okay now. That is the past. This is us being more mindful. So you accept those thoughts. For anyone who meditates, they understand this concept that your thoughts are going to jump all over the place. You won't be successful at meditating if you're trying to force the thoughts to do anything. You're like, oh, all of a sudden I hear a bird outside. That's true. That's a bird. I live in the city. I actually right now hear a siren. So forgive me for that. City living. I love it, but it's a lot sometimes. And so if I was meditating, I would say that is what it is. It is city living. And then I would get to the second part, which is your breath. So while you're getting into the flow, you want to breathe. You want to take the deepest breaths. This concept is about being mindful. Everybody's like, I want to be more mindful. I want to be more mindful. If you're struggling to be more mindful, one of the biggest reasons that keeps us from being mindful is resistance. Is not accepting our humanness, not accepting that thoughts will come and allowing thoughts to be what they are. Being in a space of being hard on ourselves, like, oh, I shouldn't be thinking about this anymore. If you're still thinking about it, there is a reason for that. So, first is flow, accept that the thoughts are coming and just try to redirect them. Don't force them, no resistance. Two is the breath. While I'm doing that, okay, that is what it is. Sometimes those thoughts come back. Not sure why they're back today, but that happens, right? And I'm breathing, I'm breathing, I'm breathing. I'm saying things to myself like I am okay. I didn't deserve what happens. It is what it is. I'm going to figure out why these thoughts keep coming back. I'm in the flow and I'm taking deep breaths. The third part of reducing this whole leave it in the past thing is beauty. So this concept is called FBB: flow, breath, and beauty. Beauty is looking for what's beautiful in your life. So some people talk about gratitude and this and that, but when you're trying to have a mindful moment, you're just going to look around the room. You're going to look for the things that make you feel good. Is there a picture in the room of something that makes you happy? Is there, do you have a favorite pillow, right? Is there something soft that you can touch? If you're outside, go for a walk. What do you see? Are there birds in the trees? Is there snow outside? Is the sun shining in a particular way? I live near the ocean, so when I do this, or when I'm having a tough time, when I want to really do this flow, breath, and beauty, I go for a walk. I go for a walk in the park, or I go for a walk on the water. And what I see is I see the waves crashing. So the beauty is not only what you see, but what you hear. You hear the waves? Do I hear a bird? Right? You get into that moment, right? Because mindfulness is being in the moment. Our overthinking about the past, our negative thoughts, our sadness, all the things that we might struggle with, even our anger, is really pulling us out of this present moment. These three things, when you put them together, it's bringing you back into your body. One of the best things that you can do to get back into your body is take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, the deepest breath that you can into your stomach. You want to do that as often as you can. So, again, to recap, let's release this idea of leaving the past in the past. The past has value. Just like all the parts of ourselves, we deserve to accept our humanity. And sometimes we do think about the past, and that's okay too. So, in parting, I want you to join me. I want you to subscribe. Ask me a question about this. Maybe the concept doesn't make sense. Maybe you see it differently. That's okay. Let's talk about it in the comment section. Ask me any questions that you want. Subscribe, like this video if some of this made sense for you and to you. And in parting, I will say thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one, and go forth and shine on the world.